The following segment is sponsored by Food City.
Welcome back to another edition of the Stateline Sports Reporters podcast. I am Stateline Sports Reporter Heather Williams, and college football is one of the most fascinating, fast-evolving sports there is. Nothing is the same as it was 4 years ago in the sport. So I thought, as we're heading into July, that this would be a great time to catch up with ETSU head football coach Will Healy. I've known Will Healy since he was about 15 years old. He played high school football in Chattanooga. That's where I was working at the time as a much younger sports reporter for a couple of TV stations down there. Covered him when he played in the state championship game at Boyd Buchanan. Knew him when he was an assistant coach at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. Followed his journey to Austin Peay and then to Charlotte and then to several other places as consultants and assistant coaches. I think Georgia State. I believe he spent some time down in Florida as well. And really excited when ETSU hired him just because of my relationship with him. And I knew how honest and forthcoming he would be when I had questions about things that were going on in the sports world. So this conversation with him is an absolutely fascinating conversation from the perspective of I learned a lot. I mean, I've been covering sports for 30 years, and I learned some things that I didn't know about the changing landscape of college football. I also think that his conversations about how ETSU navigates through NIL is completely fascinating. I was really surprised by some of the things that are or aren't going on at ETSU when it comes to name, image, and likeness. And so I think you're really going to enjoy this extended conversation with him. It's about 15 minutes long. It's a decent conversation where we cover a range of topics from how the summer workouts have gone to what's changed about summer workouts to what holes that they might have going into the fall on his team, and of course the NIL conversations as well. So enjoy this Stateline sit down with ETSU head football coach Will Healy. I want to start with this. How's the summer been? How's the workouts? How do you feel like your team has progressed since spring ball?
I'm very appreciative of what the administration has done to be able to get all of our guys here this summer. With the new NCAA rules, with what you're allowed to do with them, and now you're allowed to go out and spend time with them and coach them on the field and watch film and install, it's more important than it's ever been that we get a head start. And I think that how we are investing in the summer is how you would want a championship program to invest. So we've got 103 guys that are here that have been here since the 2nd of June, and they've worked their rear end off. One of my mentors, Skip Holtz, came yesterday and was watching practice, and he said, you just don't typically see that type of excitement and camaraderie 4 weeks into summer workouts with no real light at the end of the tunnel, but our guys have done a phenomenal job. So I feel really good about it. My goal to get to June 1st was how do we assemble the best roster that we can put together that gives us the best chance to be able to win games. And I think we did that with the portal and with the high school guys that we were able to add. And then it's how does this team gel together? And Dylan has done an unbelievable job from a strength perspective. I think our coaches have done a really good job with an organized installation and summer workout plan. And so now they'll get a little bit of time off. It's July 4th and hopefully come back rested and ready to roll for the last summer stretch.
So what's the difference now with the rules in the summer as compared to previously?
Well, you used to not be able to do anything with them from a football perspective. So the meetings and all that type of stuff had to be voluntary. They still give you the same 8-hour window, but now they allow you to use football as part of that 8-hour window. So, it's different everywhere. Everybody's trying to figure out what is a true NCAA rule, what can you do, what can you not do, but it's been very beneficial for our players. By the time we start fall camp now, the installation's been done once in the spring, once in the summer, once in fall camp. And so it gives us a much better head start as we go into July 29th when camp starts.
I would imagine as a first-year head coach that's invaluable.
It is. It's also really important, I think, from a staff perspective. after we left spring, what did we feel like, that we could have a chance to put our best, our players in the best position to have success. You're communicating about, hey, I want to discuss, and we'd like to install this situation on this day, and these are some things that work, these are some things that didn't, these are things that our quarterbacks really like, these are some things that may not necessarily fit us. So yes, I think they're invaluable from a staff perspective as well as from an evaluating player's perspective. You got to feel about what your roster looks like. You don't have to wait until the first day of fall camp anymore.
So do you still have needs on your roster?
No, I think what we needed, we hit in the spring window. I don't know if there's a position that you would tell me that, we had to fill some depth and some competition at the defensive back position. We had to get a left tackle. I don't know that there's one for me that I say we're going into it and don't feel like that we have a body that we feel like is capable to compete at that position. Now the question is, what do they do with it? Because people make mistakes in recruiting all the time. What we've seen thus far, we feel like we hit home runs.
So for you as a first-year head coach, I'm guessing the transfer portal, invaluable to you as far as building your roster. Going forward, will you feel the same way? I mean, it becomes harder and harder to keep those guys here once you get them here.
Yeah, you hope you're just not playing catch-up every year. A lot of it is if you've recruited the right guy, then you may have to replace them because ultimately you don't have time anymore. And so to be able to say we're going to, we're missing, we're losing 6 wideouts, we'll just sign 6 high school guys. You don't have that luxury because you got to win now. And your players that are on your roster deserve that. Your administration deserves that. The city deserves that. And so that to me is where you feel the most of the needs is where do we need a bona fide starter. I think that's kind of changed our perception from evaluating and signing high school guys or the guys that we feel like we could play for us early on. Those are the guys that you need to take. A lot of the conversation is who do you feel like can be guys that are in your 2 deep, and so we've done that from a portal and a high school window. I think that the good thing for us going through this portal in December/January and the May portal was we found out what positions are very difficult to get. Right, like that we'll sign more high school defensive backs than what we've signed in the past. We'll sign more high school wide receivers than what we've have done in the past because I think you can get guys who can help you early at those positions. And then obviously we hit home runs with the transfer quarterbacks, and you hope that they have the type of success that you would expect them to have. And now you're in the market in December for another big name like that. Adding Jake was massive, a guy who started games at the Group of 5 level and is really talented. But you also look to add competition at that. So I think it's position specific.
You touched on it a little bit, but what does the portal mean for the high school kids?
Well, I think what you've got right now is you've got 2 different situations that are, the COVID situation is ending, where guys getting 5-6 years of eligibility, that's kind of, I don't think the high school players will have to deal with that as much. But now you're adding roster limits where, when I was at Charlotte, you'd have 130-something guys on the roster. Now you're going to be down at 105. So that's, some places 15, 20 more roster spots that you've cut. So that shrinks the opportunities for those high school guys. But to me, I would like that kind of checks and balances to be more of you're signing 2 high school guys for every 1, transfer. But a lot of it is what happens with your roster, who can you retain, and that's why I'm so big on what's the experience like for these guys over the next 6 or 7 months, so that we can keep the really good players here after what we hope to be a really good fall season.
NIL has changed the game. Yeah. You now have a general manager kind of helping. Yeah. How much has that changed the experience here at ETSU?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, David Blackburn is unique in the fact that with his experience and what he's done, whether it be at Tennessee or at Chattanooga or at Middle or wherever he's been, he's got a unique skill set, not just with what he's seen, but also with his ability to connect and develop relationships with our players. So for me, he's been he's been a great voice to lean on from hey, is this battle worth fighting? Hey, what do you think about this player? Is this a guy that you feel like would fit? Do you see the skill set that we see? Hey, what do you think about this guy's character when he was on campus? And he also keeps any type of money conversation off my desk where I don't have that relationship with those players. I'm also pretty honest and transparent with our players about there's a foundation that we have to build here of day-to-day operations that's where our money needs to go to right now. The other piece of it to me is to make sure that you can live, eat, sleep, develop here. And so that's where our any NIL dollars or any Austin money has gone to that, not necessarily to just go pay for a guy so that we can win a battle. Right now for us, if the reason you're coming here is for money, then I think it becomes a transactional experience, and it's not what we've built this roster off of. When you're here, I want to do everything humanly possible to make sure your experience here is second to none, so that when somebody does come in and offer $15,000 more, you feel like that this is the best place for you. We can win those battles. And that's been my philosophy. I'm constantly evaluating my philosophy. But that's how we built this roster, and guys are excited to be here, and I think it's led to a really tight locker room. So we've got to build a day-to-day, how we travel, how we eat, where these guys are living, and the money that we give them from a scholarship perspective to make sure that they can, it's expensive to live in Johnson City. It's expensive to live on campus. So that we're taking care of the day-to-day needs and scholarships and all those before we get to $1 million bankroll from an NIL perspective.
See, I think that's really interesting because I think a lot of people assume that you got all these big time transfers by paying them. So how do you convince a guy that's coming from a Power 4 or from a Group of 5 to come to ETSU if it's not money?
Well, if money is mentioned in the initial conversation, we're probably not getting them because there's going to be another higher bidder. And if money is mentioned in the initial conversation, they're probably not staying after they have success. So that's kind of how I've gone about it. What are guys looking for? There's a lot of these guys, Caden Jacoby, for example. They've been kind of caught up in this whirlwind of NIL and, well, we're paying this guy $2 million, so he's got to play and you're only making $1 million or whatever it may be. There's a major political game that's going on at some of these massive Power 4 schools that these boosters don't want to give you $5 million for the guy to sit on the bench. And so the revenue sharing, I think, will change that a little bit, but these collectives are still going to exist. And so what are people looking for? Does it match what you have to offer? And then, the opportunity to win. I think the opportunity to truly win at the FCS level is significantly different than the opportunity to win at the Group of 5 level. There's some schools, Memphis, Tulane, maybe South Florida's of the world, Boise State's of the world, where they're able to kind of combat that and say we can win here as well. But for us to say we expect to have an opportunity to go compete for championships and win more than we lose is unique to what a lot of the Group of 5 schools can truly show you on paper that they're able to do. And winning is a big part of your experience. So I think they like our staff. They like the positions that we can put them in. They like this city. They feel like that this is a place you can win. And when they're here, there's something different about this place. And so that's been the key to success so far.
So we're sitting here, the stadium is off here to your left. You mentioned winning and something special. What does this place need to look like when you guys kick off to start the season in order for you guys to be successful?
The thing that I'm most excited about is I've heard about a game day environment here. I've never seen it. I've never played here. I've heard about it from everybody. And our players, half of our roster has never seen it either. So what does that first game look like against Murray State, and the tailgating atmosphere and the buck walk and all those type of things? I'm really excited to see that. I just think that there's a philosophy and a vision that we are creating here of let's be who we want to be before we get there so we don't have to change who we are when we get there. I'm very confident in our ability to go win games. And I hear a lot of if you just win, then this will happen, right? And what I want this fan base to understand is the fact that we need your help now, right? That if we wait 6 months to say let's win and show me the proof is in the pudding, then there's a roster full of guys who may not have had the type of experience that I want them to have that we may lose in December in the portal because they say I'm not being developed right, or we're traveling this way, or you're feeding me this way, or whatever it may be, or my gear, I wanted another T-shirt, right? Whatever. I mean, it's all of those type of things from from an experience standpoint that matter to me, and I think that's the key to retaining versus just saying we can pay you more money. That's my thought now, and again, I'm in this role. Everybody can agree or disagree with every decision I make, and there's nobody who's harder on me than I am on myself. But we got a really good roster right now, and it hadn't been because we've been able to pay more. It's because of what type of experience they can have.
Sponsored by Food City.